You know what time it is. You know what time it is.
How firm thy friendship. Oh, how
you know what time it is. Come brawl with them boys of the fall. You know what time it is. On the ground with a nose for the ball. You know what time it is. Blood, sweat, and them tears for this game. Leaving it all out on the field with no fear for you lames. Yeah, you know what time it is. Come brawl with them boys of the fall. Covered in gray and scarlet, massive, stiff arms to your jaw. We breaking it. We sick of seeing you clowns with the crown. We taking it.
What up, Buckeye Nation? Welcome to the Buckeye Boys, where we talk about college football with real fans. I'm Devin. That's Mello. We're back, man. I feel like it's been forever again. Since I've been on here, at least. You've been holding the fort down, Mello. Been killing the game. How's your day been, bro?
Man, it's good. You know, just hanging, chilling, getting ready for the work week. Yeah, I do feel like it's been a while since we've done a show together.
I know, man. Well, I went on vacation, and then I get back, and I had to go help Angie move. It's been wild, man. But It's been eventful, man, for the Buckeyes. This draft. This was the first draft where I ever watched the entire thing.
Same here in my life.
I mean?
My entire life.
Yep, same here. Never watched the entire thing, but everybody in the chat, appreciate you guys for coming. Hit that like button. Do us a solid, man, and share this feed on your Twitter, your Instagram, your Facebook for us. Dude, I just got to make a couple announcements, man, because we got some big time shows coming up this week, man. I'm about to announce one Mel doesn't even know about, but first off, Tuesday at 2:30, we got Jarquez Carter and Ziggy Grady, roommates, both defensive linemen at Ohio State, coming on the show. Then Wednesday night, we got Jameer Brown, the number one receiver in the class of 2027. Yeah, he's a Buckeye, coming on the show. And then, man, we got the number one offensive line target for the Buckeyes, arguably this year, one of the number ones. DG, man, what's
Darius Gray?
Yeah, dude, Darius Gray, man.
Yeah, I didn't know about that. That must have just happened.
It did. Literally, when I'm getting on here, just messaged me back and said, yeah, let's do this thing. So he asked me what days are good. We'll try to get him on this week, if not this week, but next week. But I'm sure if you're listening, you already know this, but dude, there are so many Buckeye shows out there. Me and Mello, we love talking Buckeye football. We always will. But one of the aspects of our channel that we're trying to corner, if you want to use that word, is, the recruiting aspect and getting to know these players on a personal level. Because if you think about the amount of passion and time that we put in, to rooting for these Buckeyes on the field, I think it's worthwhile to get to know who we're rooting for as people. You know what I mean? I think it'll change the way that we watch the game, we look at the game, but that's the reality of what we do. We watch young men, play football, and half the time we don't even get to know who they are. So it's just a good aspect of it.
I was just about to say, we also got Deuce Gerald's quarterback and his starting quarterback and dad coming on Thursday. Maybe we could go back to back with Darius Gray, because I know Pops Pod is having a special one this Friday as well.
Well, that's beautiful timing, because we got Deuce Gerald's coming on Wednesday. So,
nice.
Yeah, we'll see, man. We've tried to have Deuce on a couple times. He's got a very busy schedule, but as of right now, it's scheduled for Wednesday. So excited about that, man. But couple things to dive into. I said we dive into the draft first. I know you already talked about it. Couple quick hitters, though. I mean, 4 Buckeyes in the first round. I had 3. I picked 3, right? I had a little bet going. I got that one. And then probably one of the luckiest things in my life, I nailed Tyleik Williams as the 28th pick in the draft, dead on that. You know me. I'm very high on Tyleik. Yeah. I picked him to be the defensive MVP of the Buckeyes. He was not that, but he was, way more critical to our success than he gets credit for. And didn't surprise me he went in the first round, but it surprised a lot of people. But dude, I love the draft, man. What are some quick hitters for you, man? What's your thoughts?
Man, one, Will Howard, I think went way too low, but that's a lot of value for the Steelers. I wouldn't be surprised if midway through the season you see Will Howard taking starting snaps. So that was a shocker. Cleveland not drafting Will Howard and drafting that midget from out in Oregon.
Gabriel and Shador.
Like I thought that was stupid. Honestly, I'm gonna be honest. They could have, if you're gonna draft Shador, then just draft him there. Don't even worry about taking another rookie, because I'm gonna be honest, I think Shador is gonna have a better NFL career than Dylan Gabriel. So that was a little shocking. It was shocking that Seth did not get drafted. I was pretty astounded by that and dumbfounded. So that would be my main takeaways, that I was shocked. Oh yeah, and they had weird safeties going ahead of Latham Ransom.
I know, dude. Hey, listen, I've always known that the draft was funky, right? But two things. I know I'm a homer, okay? So I know, right? I love the Buckeyes. I wanted them to be the 1st through 17th picks in the draft this year. Anything beyond that, I'm not going to be happy. But I also know the game of football a little bit more now, and you do see some of these players there was a couple of these picks that just blew my mind. That North Dakota offensive lineman before Donnie Jackson. I was like, dude, what is going on here? You know what I mean? What am I missing? But, I don't understand it. A lot of people don't. I didn't see anybody's mock drafts that did overly well. So it's just, I think there's a lot of variables behind the draft that we're sitting on the outside. Like, I personally think if a team didn't have the time to meet one of these people in person, then they're not going to draft them. Like, I think that's another aspect of, we don't know. Did they get to meet up and have a conversation and talk? I heard the Browns didn't even talk to Will Howard. I don't think they're going to draft a quarterback that didn't even talk to. They talked to Gabriel. They talked to Shador, but it is what it is, man. The cool thing about these Buckeyes that get drafted is all 17 of them signed somewhere. Boom, like that instantly, dude. G. Scott, Patriots, Fryer, Cardinals, and Seth to the Bengals. You know what I mean? They're on a championship team, man. They were in the culture that Ryan Day has created. So, and look at the adversity that they went through. Any of these Buckeyes, Denzel Burke dropping that low, surprise to me. But this ain't nothing new to them, dude. Last time they hit adversity, they came out the other end and won a national title. So it's like, I don't think this is anything new to them, bro. I think you're just adding fuel to the fire for Will Howard, Denzel Burke, and
Jack Sawyer. Like, come on, man.
Jack
I feel
Sawyer,
like they
man.
just I'm gonna be honest. I'm angry. I feel like they disrespected our whole team. We had our team was top 5 in run defense, the defensive line, and I think they were number 1 in terms of QB pressures. How does that add up to all these guys dropping so low? I just don't understand it, and I never will.
Yeah, I actually texted Jack's family, and said, "Yo, hey, this is wild right now." But listen, they're not. Again, they've been through that adversity. I'm not worried about Jack. Should he have got drafted sooner? For sure, but I know darn well they're going to figure his value out real quickly. He's just not going to fail. He's not going to allow himself to. He's that type of player. But seeing players like Cody Simon go away sooner, Jordan Hancock, I love seeing those. You know what I mean? Like, what do we have? Did we even have a 6th round draft pick? I think were all of them drafted in the first.
I think Will Howard was the last draft pick.
Yeah, he was drafted in the 6th or 7th round.
No, he wasn't in the 7th. We had 0 in the 7th.
Yes, we had 13 draft picks. At one point in time, we had 7 of the 45 draft picks. That's 15% of the NFL draft at one point in time through 45 picks that were Buckeyes. That's pretty wild, man. I love it, dude.
Absolutely.
I love it. And of course, man, you got these Team Up North fans, dude. I love it, man. It's so wild, dude, that I heard Funky and B. Moses on their show, and I think Funky said it best, man. And this is why you can't ever win arguments with them or anything, because they always move the goalpost, dude.
Always.
You know what I mean? They're always moving around everywhere. And I think that's what's so aggravating, about it. Because I can say, hey, dude, the 5th overall pick, that defensive tackle, he's a baller. He's great. You know what I mean? Like, he's a top 10 NFL. I agree with that.
Yep.
They would never say that about, you know what I mean, us on the other end. So it's wild, dude. But yeah, man, loved it, dude. Showed up and showed out. One of the tied the school record for the most drafts and whatnot. Will Howard thing was just wild to me. You know, the Browns drafting that UCO linebacker. I'm like, who is? I don't know who that is. You know, who is that? And then who is the third quarterback, the Louisville quarterback?
Right, to the Saints? Like, are you kidding me? Did you see it? Oh my, that one probably pissed me off the most, man. Like, that should have been Will Howard's spot.
Yeah. Another thing kind of threw me off, which I can see why, but that North Carolina running back going before Quinshawn and Trey.
How can you see why? Hold up, I gotta ask that.
No. So I personally can't see why. Right. What I'm trying to say is that's less of a surprise to me than Will Howard going in the 6th round, or that's less of a surprise to me than Jack Sawyer dropping to the 5th round. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, I watched who drafted a defensive end in the 1st round that had 4.5 sacks his entire
Cincinnati Bengals
career.
And that was Shamar Stewart.
Yep, Texas A&M.
Mm-hmm. And he was playing next to Walter Nolan, so he wasn't seeing double teams.
No.
Those are all one-on-ones, and that's who you pick. I guess the Bengals are going to Bengals, and the Browns are going to Brown. I'm sorry if you're fans of those teams.
Yeah. You know, he's physically he's a beast, tested off the charts. You know what I'm saying? But
it's not applicable to the actual game film.
No.
You know?
No, it doesn't line up.
Like, Davian Clowney, if you remember him, everybody thought he was going to be for sure a Hall of Famer, locked down. He's not even a perennial Pro Bowler. It's got to translate. You have to, your athleticism and your numbers have to match your play on the field. Otherwise, what are we doing?
Yeah. Aunt Chris, there's definitely stuff going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. There's politics and everything in this world anymore. In the NFL and football world, there's so many coaches that know each other, have relationships with each other. They've coached a player. They know a player.
Yeah.
There's so many things. I mean, here's the deal. Like, life is about relationships. I mean, that's seriously what it is, dude. Like, you could have 10 people that are way better than you. Like I could have 10 people that could remodel a house way better than me. But just because I know the right people, I'm jumping in front of those 10 people. I'm getting the job. Why? Because I got a good relationship with somebody, something like that. That's just what this world is, dude. It's about relationships. But huge show up for the Buckeyes, man. I was thrilled. Didn't expect 4 first-round draft picks. Like I said, phenomenal for the recruiting momentum. Saw a couple people on Twitter, some people that I normally respect and normally have some good takes going in on, the draft picks and what this means for our defense, because our defensive linemen went lower and 2 5-stars going in the 2nd and 5th round and all this stuff, and talking about it wasn't an elite defense last year. And it's just wild, man, to have that kind of take based off of where you go in the draft. That's like saying, in one moment, you're going to take into account their 5 stars, and then the next moment, you're not going to worry about ratings, right? Cam Ward, perfect example. You know how many stars he was? 0. Cam Ward, the number 1 overall draft pick, was a 0-star recruit. 0. So it's wild. Some of the takes that people had based off of this, but it's nothing new, man. It's why I love this environment. Some of the takes, they aggravate me, but I love it, man. I've been trolling a little bit on our X account. A couple of people.
They deserve it, man. Some people have been saying some outlandish stuff. I've been hearing the most outlandish stuff, and most of it's coming from Team Up North fans, to be honest.
Oh, for sure, man. But in some other news, dude, I believe this might surprise some Buckeye. I believe we got our last addition to the roster for the Buckeyes. I believe the players that you see on the roster, that's what we got. That's what we're rolling with. No more defensive linemen are going to be added, I don't think. No more offensive linemen. I think Justin Terry from Pickerington, Ohio, I believe, out of West. I think. Yeah, out of West Virginia, 6'5", 300 and some pounds. He's going to come in playing tackle. He's coming in playing tackle, but can switch to guard or anything like that. I went and watched his film. It's got the size. It's got the movement. It's got 4 years of eligibility left. What I love most is the aggressiveness that the dude plays with. I love it. And he's an Ohio boy. You know what I mean? So
that part.
Yeah. Speak on that real quick.
I love it just for the simple fact that we needed the numbers in the room. And I do believe we're still one short of the target number that Coach Day wants to have on the roster every year. But, I mean, that's not too bad. I think we have tremendous depth. I do think we have the best offensive line room in America. And I'm unapologetic about it. It's just the proof is in the pudding. We watched the playoff run. We watched all those guys came back. In essence, we lost 2 players off the line because Seth was hurt half the season, and Josh Simmons was hurt October 12th. So he missed over half the season. So I don't count them as a part of lost production. And then Josh Fryer left, and that's it. So all those other guys on this roster have gotten significant snaps, especially in big games, the playoffs. It doesn't get much bigger than that. So I'm bullish on our O-line. I'm glad the guy came back home. I'm glad that he wants to be a Buckeye. The most impressive thing that out of this whole thing, portal situation, 0 scholarship athletes hit the portal for Ohio State. And I'm pretty sure we might be the only team that has that, but don't quote me because I didn't look everybody else's roster, but that's significant. That just shows you what the culture is about here. We have the strongest culture in America.
No doubt, man. No doubt. I got to write. I just had so many thoughts go through my mind. I got to write a couple of them down.
Write it down, man, because I'm about to throw you off. Let me know when you're done writing because
okay, hold on.
Yeah. I got to ask. Deb's got to share some great news with the chat.
I'm about to bring up some, well, it's not great yet, but we'll get to that.
No, it's not football news. This isn't even football related.
I know what you're trying to talk about. It's not great yet, but
damn.
The topic, let me hit on this culture thing real fast.
Yeah, so, go ahead.
A lot of things are important in college football, right? Recruiting, coaches, skill, all that stuff. If I had to rate what the number one most important thing for a team's success is in today's college football, because it has changed drastically. When NIL came in and the transfer portal came in, it changed college football. The old college football you used to watch 10 years ago is not the same. Therefore, certain things have to change, right? Number one most important thing in today's college football is culture. Hands down, I would love to have somebody debate this with me and come on here. Let's have a conversation, because if you don't have the culture, then you're not going to play as a team, right? And you're going to leave. You're going to ask for more money. You're going to disrupt things. You're going to do the whole 9 yards. Right. So speaking of the 0, people leaving in the portal for Ohio State, keeping that culture rolling, man. I think it is the most important thing. And I don't think anything is really that close. For example, you can say recruiting or talent on the team. Well, Georgia had 13 draft picks. How far did they make it? Okay. Penn State had more draft picks and has always had higher recruiting than Notre Dame. What happened in that game? You know, I mean, you guys watch football. You know what I'm talking about. I just think that today's day and age with a 12-team playoff, about to be 14 or 16, you got to go through adversity. You got to learn how to handle it. And if you cannot handle adversity in today's college football, you're not going to be a team. You're not going to play as a team. And then you're going to look up the scoreboard. It's going to be 34-0. The Buckeyes are going to be ahead. Like, yep. I don't know. What else to tell you? Just what's going on.
And some sunny Pasadena weather.
It is. But
I like that, man. That was
yeah.
That was sly.
The last thing, and then we'll get to what you were going to talk about. We picked up an O lineman in the transfer portal. We just talked about it, but Coach Bowen, man, Coach Bowen, again, dude. And not only that, dude, we'll do a different video talking about the momentum that we have in the offensive line. I will preface it with this, give you guys a little bit of a teaser. I don't want to throw anybody off, or this isn't any disrespect, but I'm just giving an opinion. I think some people are getting pushed out of the room that are already signed in this class right now. That's what I think is going to happen.
Hold on. Reverse that. I'm sorry. My son was saying bye to me. He's about to go to work. But
I think Tyler Bowen has so much momentum, and he's got such good relationships with so many of these offensive line recruits. And then offensive line recruits just watched 2 offensive linemen from Ohio State go in the first round of the draft. Now, I know Justin Fry left, but it's not just the position coach that got them. It's a culture that Ryan Day has built. Offensive linemen are seeing that. You go back to the year 2000, who has the most offensive line drafted? I think it's Ohio State. And I don't know where people are getting this. Scum is O-line U, and they're so much better than us. That I know why that's happening the past 3 or 4 years, whatever. I get it. They cheated, and it made their O-line look good. And they're still good at developing O-line. I had to do a little troll shot there. But Coach Bowen, what he's doing on the offensive line, I think we got 3 people committed right now, and I think we got about 5 or 6 other ones that are higher rated or Ohio State might like more, and you never know who's going to get pushed out of the room. I just think that's a possibility, and I think it's a huge difference from going from not – the point I'm trying to make is last year we were wondering how the heck we're going to get numbers.
Yeah.
How the heck we we signed 3 offensive linemen. And this year, it's like, I don't know how we're going to make room for all the offensive linemen that we are legit in on. How do we know we're in on them? Because they told us themselves.
Yep.
We didn't read an article. We've talked to them. We know who wants to be a Buckeye. Felix Ojo, Darius Gray, Michael Champ Smith, Drew Evers. I mean, dude, those are some big time names I just said right there that the Buckeyes are in on big time. So we'll see what Coach Bowen does with the development side. But remember, he's got 2 other offensive line coaches behind him to help him with that, which is also the recruits are loving that too. Go read every single article that an offensive line recruit is in, and they always mention the fact that there's 3 offensive line coaches. They love it.
Yep. And the thing is, they're all the synergy is there as well. So when they're all doing drills, they're all coaching it the same way and teaching it the same way. So they're all on the same wavelength, which allows them to work with anybody on the offensive line, and they're still going to get the same treatment and the same coaching. And they're all elite offensive line coaches to begin with.
Yeah, Matt, I'm not saying backup players. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about recruiting classes change. But anyway, speaking of this here, Coach Bowen got that PJ guy in the door, and now we're hearing that he's going to come here and play defensive line, and he's the number 1 or number 2 interior offensive lineman in the nation. So
right,
kind of wild there. But what's this news? You want me to tell them about Cujo?
Oh yeah, yep, that's exactly what I want to talk about.
Okay, so we got some halfway good news. I'm halfway excited because I got a text from my brother at 12:30 in the morning yesterday saying I found Cujo. And Aaron was in the backyard shining a flashlight. He saw some eyes up in a tree. It was like 2 houses down in between 2 of our neighbors' houses. Cujo was up there. But it was 1 o'clock in the morning, so he couldn't get a ladder, go in our neighbor's backyard. He didn't want to wake him up. So he just went back to bed. And we've been looking for Cujo in that same tree, but it's really tall and it's hard to see up there, so we can't see him. So I'm hoping my brother's out there now shining a flashlight. If I see his little eyeballs in that tree, I'm climbing up there and getting him. So if he's there, I'm getting him. But I think he's 2 houses away. He's hanging out so close. It gives me some hope that he's around the area. And if we don't get him tonight, he'll be back. Like, he's not leaving the area. You know what I mean? So
when he comes back, we got to bring him on the show, especially if you get him back before an interview.
100%. Yeah, definitely. Mello, I want to bring up something that is going to go against pretty much everything that I've heard anybody talk about, including us.
Okay.
Yeah, it's about the defensive line depth, defensive tackle, defensive end, the whole 9 yards. I want to know, where did this start? Now, just because I'm talking about it, just because I ask these questions doesn't mean I believe the opposite.
Right.
Doesn't mean I'll tell you what I believe after this, but I just want to knock this thing out and dive into it a little bit. Where did this idea start that, and I think I already know the answers to these two, but I just want to ask, where did the idea start that we don't have the depth we need at defensive tackle? Where did this start at?
That's a great question. That is a great question. I never really thought about it.
I'll tell you, let me just say a couple things. Coach Day said, he never said they're going into the portal, though. He said they're going to look at who they have. And everybody took that and assumed that meant, oh my God, we don't have depth to defensive tackle. Number two, you can look at the rotation last year, look at some of the snaps that some of these defensive tackles got.
Yeah.
And look what they did in the games. Okay. But where's this coming from? Have we seen any of these Jason Moores, Tywan Malones, Will Smith? Have we seen them play football? Have we seen them get in a rhythm? Have we seen them? I mean, that's just what I'm trying to get at. Like where did this come from? Yeah, Matt, he said back in training that they need more depth. Every single coach in the nation will always say that. Yeah. They need more depth. They need some of these backup guys to step up. That's what they need. My whole premise behind this is what if Buckeye Nation is exaggerating and overthinking, overhyping all this? We need defensive tackles. Because let me ask you this. If the coaches thought that we needed depth at defensive tackle, do you think we would have got depth at defensive tackle?
Absolutely, 100%. What I think is we've always said we needed depth at defensive end. And where do we go get help at defensive end?
Yeah. So again, I'm not trying to get at anybody. You're allowed to think that. Part of me believed that and thought about that. But now that I've watched all these things occur and watched it, man, I mean, shoot, we went and got Caleb Downs, Quidshaw Junkins, Will Howard. I mean, good Lord, dude. When we need people, we get them. There's nobody getting in our way. It's not going to – people don't get in our way. And the only person that we went ham for in the portal was Bo Atkinson. I mean, that was the number one thing, you know, and trust me. And again, I'm not bringing this up because I'm saying everybody's wrong. We don't need depth. We're all good and gravy there. I'm just saying the level at which we needed another defensive tackle, I'm not quite sure is as big as what Buckeye Nation, including us, or including, you know what I'm saying? We've had that conversation before.
Right.
Is as big as what it's being made out to be. And here's the other thing. We can say that we watched spring practice. We can say that we watched them get in last year. We can say that, well, Edric Houston jumped those guys and all this. But why can't players get better, right? From now until we play Texas, who's to say that Jason Moore and Tywan Malone, Will Smith Jr. don't all get better? Like, they can do that. You know what I'm saying? Just because we saw them playing at a certain level a year ago doesn't mean they're about to be playing at the same level that they are now. I just wanted to bring that up.
I got to ask you a question. This on the same line topic, but you know, we like to work out a lot, right? So I'm just going to pose this question to you. The Texas game is exactly 4 months away. So if they see strength as an issue on the interior, in 4 months, how can these guys get stronger?
Yes.
I mean, we just need to let these people know, you know, just speak on the strength part if that's what people are worried, because I think what they're worried about is stopping the run after the starting O-line
Okay.
D-line comes out.
So to speak on something I do know, I'm 34 years old, right? So I'm not young like them, but I know that if I, woke up tomorrow and said, hey, man, I need to get my bench press number up. Let's say it's at 300 right now. And I'm like, dude, I need it to be at 350. And I wanted to train in that certain area. I mean, give me 3 months and it's there.
Yeah.
Like if I wanted to do that and focus on that area, these guys are young. They have the Ohio State facility, all the things around them to do that. So I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little homerish here. Again, I'm not trying to sit here and say everybody's wrong. We don't need depth at defensive tackle, but I will pose you this question. What gave you that thought? Where did that start? Why did we all of a sudden start freaking out about the defensive line depth? Now, I do feel you on, because defensive line recruiting, not necessarily last year, but the previous 2 years, we missed on a bunch of guys, had to snag people at the last minute. I get you. I feel you. You know what I'm saying? But Again, I don't know that we can judge these players quite as harshly as we are. We haven't seen them play football, man. You saw a spring game. What are you going to glean from a spring game? Defensive tackles that ran 3 defensive calls the entire time, going up against the best offensive line in the country.
Man, keep cooking.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Listen, people are going to probably stop watching the show and everything because I'm bringing this up. And not only that, you got Matt Patricia, man. You got Bo Atkinson. He can go to the inside. Matt Patricia will use the strength of this team. But I'm just not convinced. As much as I was, yes, I would have loved to pick up a defensive tackle. Yes, I do believe that they needed a little help in there. I still believe that. I believe they could have used some more help, but the coaches didn't make it happen. Ryan Day, the one that went and got Caleb Downs, the one that went and got Seth McLaughlin, the one that went and got Will Howard, told Kyle McCord, no, I'm going out and getting another quarterback. He lost his starting quarterback because he thought there was something missing in that room. You're here to tell me that if Ryan Day thought, or Larry Johnson thought, there was a big hole like we're talking about in the defensive tackle room, that they're not going to go out and get a defensive tackle? Not even this portal, but the portal before. They've known the players have been there the entire time. If they didn't go out in the winter portal and stab defensive tackles, that means at that point in time, in that moment, they liked what they had. And they gave a little bit of effort this time, but all we could do is guess on how much effort they did give. We can say, oh, they wanted this, they wanted that. Well, how do you know?
Right.
I don't. I don't know how much. The only thing I do know is how much they wanted Bo Atkinson. I know that because I, talk to people about that. We do know that. But they've had one defensive tackle visit. That's it. The one from Southern Georgia.
I think it's a beautiful thing personally. The reason I say that is because the coaches are showing to the players, not to these players especially, but also to future recruits. But to these players, they're showing, we believe in you. We recruited you. We picked you. We think you're right there. This is what you need to work on. This is what you need to get better at. And by showing that loyalty to those players, they're going to reciprocate that back to the coaches and like, we're going to prove you right, that you made the right choice in selecting us. And we appreciate you having our back like that and not going into the portal to try to find a replacement for us. So we're going to dog it out with Coach Mick. We're going to be in the film room studying. We're going to be working on our techniques and the WAC with assistant coaches and with each other. And we're going to come out and we're going to prove it. And we're going to prove everybody wrong and you guys right once again.
Yeah. Let me ask you, if I'm not really good at this, at bringing up old players and stuff, but for those of you in the chat that do, I want you to think back to times in your life where all of a sudden the player's 4th or 3rd year in the program, they come out of nowhere and what position group does that happen most in? Would you say defensive tackles maybe take a long time to develop? Offensive linemen take a long time to develop. Defensive tackle take a long time to develop as well. These Jason Moores and Tywan Malones and all this. Cam Hayward, when did he start playing and be a beast? Was he a freshman beast already?
He was
That
pretty
might be
much
a
a
bad
beast when he was
example.
coming in. But Ty Hamilton's brother, it took him about 3 years.
Yeah.
And he went, I think he was like the 22nd pick in the draft when he left. But nobody saw that before he blew up and exploded, right?
Yeah. You know, that's just a thought I had today. I questioned myself. I was like, dang, where did I all of a sudden start freaking out? Because that's just what we do as Ohio State fans. You know, where did I all of a sudden start freaking out about defensive tackles? And then because that thought was in my mind, everything I saw or heard after that, I first thought we need help at defensive tackle. And then I would watch a spring game. I watched the defensive tackles. If they made a mistake, I thought that was, oh, yeah, we need help at defensive tackle. You know what I mean?
Because it was already subconsciously put in your head.
And then all the media is just pumping out, man. Where are these D tackles at? Where are these D tackles? They're pumping out article after message board after message board of D tackle. Look at this D tackle in the portal. Look at this D tackle in the portal. Really feeding into this thing, man. Buckeye media, press conferences, they can control our emotions, man. And
yes.
I would just encourage you. I think I was thinking of Haskell Garrett.
Well, with Haskell, he played early. Obviously, he got better, but he ended up getting shot in the face. So, I mean, he missed some time because obviously he had to recover from that. He was at a party and tried to break up a fight and got shot in the face. But, yeah, that's one.
But, yeah, you get my point, man. I mean, listen, we can bag on Larry Johnson's recruiting. He just sent 4 linemen to the draft. I mean, I don't know, man.
The entire line got drafted. That's insane.
Yeah, man. And ask yourself, where is this LJ hate? Where is this defensive line hate coming from, dude? And
I know where the LJ hate comes from. But I don't know if we naming names, but I could point directly to the source. There's one person that started that and has been pushing that narrative for years.
Yeah. So anyway, I think there's hope there. We don't know. Yeah. I can't sit here and tell you, yeah, we're good at defensive tackle depth. I don't know. Is it probably the number one question that I have right now? It is. But I'm just not sure.
That's fair to have. Actually.
Yeah. I'm just not sure at which level we should be concerned. Like, do we really think that Tywan Malone, Jason Moore, and Will Smith Jr. can be coached by the GOAT? For Jason Moore going into his 3rd year, Tywan Malone going into his 3rd year in the program, Will Smith Jr. 3rd year in the program. Do we really think Larry Johnson, who just drafted the entire defensive line, is going to strike out on 3? And then you got Dominic Kirks. You got these freshmen coming in.
Jarquez Carter.
I
think he's going to be. I think he's going to get some snaps, bro.
Yeah. Is he going to strike out on all these? I'll answer that for you. It's no. It's not happening, dude. You can get lucky and not strike out on those guys. I mean, good Lord.
Right.
I don't know, man.
Jarquez is different, bro. I think he's going to push the room. I got a question for you. Do you think Jarquez is in the 2 deep before the season's over?
Well, you already know my prediction there. I already said he was. That was my kind of off the wall. And why is it off the wall? Because he's a freshman defensive tackle, and it takes a lot to build up that strength and that. But we interviewed that young man. We know his mentality. I watched his film. Not that I'm some savant at watching film, but I do watch a crap ton of it. So what I can do is compare his film to other defensive tackles' film in the country with understanding the competition that he was playing. I can gauge that. And I'm here to tell you, man, he was up there with the best of them in this class. He just was. We'll never understand this rating thing is just, it's halfway decent as far as getting things right. But at the same sense, that's only halfway decent. What about the other half? You're rating 300 kids. If you're only 50% correct, that means you probably missed on 300 of them as well. So Jarquez is one of those that they missed on. Not saying he's going to this year, but that's my prediction that he jumps in.
I thought you were crazy. I'm gonna be honest. And I thought watching his film, I thought he had the best film out of all the D tackles I saw in that class. It was just the level of competition that he was playing in Florida. That's what held him down. But watching the tea leaves, reading the tea leaves, seeing what Tyleik Williams has been saying, and he keeps reposting this kid. Like, Tyleik keeps reposting him. And then watching the picture of how his body has changed. Yeah, I don't know how you're going to keep him off the field. When you combine it with the film work that he had from high school and then being here with LJ, I just don't know. Like, that kid is going to be a monster.
Yeah. This is beautiful, too. If you want to learn something about recruiting, you know how we are here on Buckeye Boys with Con 3 and the recruiting services. ABH brings up a good point. You saw what happened to Brady Edmonds.
Crazy.
He dropped 10 spots, went from number 1 to number 11. So you're in the offseason. So what'd you do? What'd you do? You went to a couple practices and you saw 10 other quarterbacks that were better or that outworked Brady Edmonds? Is that what happened, guys? No, it's not. It's just kind of wild. Dude, listen, I've talked to people that used to work for these recruiting services. It's like if me and Mello started rating these recruits. It's just what it is, man. There's so many different opinions, so many different things guys are looking for, people are looking for. Politics get into it. Did the kid go to my camp? Did he not go to my camp?
Yeah, that's
Does he have the measurables that the NFL is looking for? You know what I'm saying? So it's just kind of all over the place.
It's pretty easy. Just trust the quarterback guru, Ryan Day. I mean, yeah. And then if you look at Brady Edmonds' film, it's pretty obvious to me. And I know I'm going off on a limb here because neither has taken a college snap. But in my opinion, it's going to come down to TSC and Brady Edmonds. By the time they leave, we're going to be talking about which one of them was the greatest quarterback to ever play at Ohio State. That's just my opinion. I'm not saying that Julian isn't going to be a beast because I think Julian is going to be a top 3 quarterback in the country this year. I just think that TSC and Brady Edmonds, like, they have the prototypical size, arm strength, speed, and then they're going to be getting coached up by Ryan Day. I mean, you put all that together, it's going to be insane.
Yeah. And, obviously, Pop's Pod is on here, and I've learned a lot about the recruiting process. And, the reason why these recruits to go to camps is to get their names out there.
Yeah.
For colleges to see them. That's what they go to all these things for. That's what determines most of these ratings. The more that these ratings guy can see these guys operate against their competition, the more information they have to go to rate them on. Brady Edmonds already has his home. His recruiting is shut down.
There we go.
Over. He does not need to go to camp. He goes, but probably not to near as many as he would have. His name was already out there. He found his home. It's set. It's over. He's training with his trainer now. I'm sure he's got, things that he knows that Ryan Day wants him to be doing, different things like that. Not that Ryan Day can coach him right now, but
right.
You know what I'm saying? So
he spends a lot of time in Ohio too, if you haven't noticed.
Yeah, he does too. But the other thing I wanted to touch on, we kind of did a little bit, is how this draft affects where Ohio State is. And I hear some shows talking about, Nick Saban left, Alabama fell off. Alabama was that team that everybody was chasing, and then everybody just assumed Kirby Smart, Georgia, is going to take over that role.
Yep.
And now there's this debate out there of who's this team, right? And what qualifies them of being this team that everybody's chasing. And I still hear people not saying Ohio State. And it's just like, they just won the national title. They always have top 5 recruiting classes. The adversity they just went through, they just had 14 players drafted, 17 signed. They have the best defensive and best offensive player in the country. They lost 0 players to the portal, 0 scholarship players to the portal. They just hired Matt Patricia, a Super Bowl winning defensive coordinator. They just promoted the best position coach in America to their offensive coordinator job. They just hired Tyler Bowen, who's an elite recruiter, along with 2 other, things. Larry Johnson still doing his thing, put 4 defensive linemen in the thing. And you hear people talking about Texas, and I get it. To reach that Alabama type level, there's a lot more things that need to happen. But as of this moment, it's not up for debate who the hot team is. It's not up for debate on what everybody's chasing in America. It's just not. Ohio State won the national title. There's no debating that. They won it. They're not under investigation. They don't have level 1 violations. They did not hire Connor Stallions. It's not debatable. They won the national title. Every team is currently chasing Ohio State. That's just what it is. It's not Texas. They didn't win. We beat Texas. We smashed Texas.
What about the Quacks? Because that's what I heard today. I was going to bring that up later, but I figured it was a good segue to talk about them in their spring game and what we saw. But I'm hearing from another Con 3 source talking about how Dan Lanning filled the void of Nick Saban when he left. In what world?
34-0. I'm not sure anything else needs to be said.
Right.
34-0 versus them beating us in their place by 1 or 2 points, whatever it was, on some 1 point on some funky bull crap. And that's exactly what it was. And the fact that it was 34-0 in a neutral area goes to prove how funky that really was, what happened. You know what I mean? That was wild. Dan Lanning's little thing. They changed the rule because of that. He did not beat us on the football field. It didn't happen. I refuse to believe that. Yeah, call me one of those fans if you want. I was there. Okay. Yep. I mean, they deserved to be in that game. Ohio State was playing crappy. They were playing really, really good. But Will Howard got down in time. That wasn't offensive. Like the list goes on of little. They got an onside kick.
Right.
So,
fluke onside kick, like that was crazy.
And the reason why everybody's talking about Dan Lanning and these other players is because Ryan Day is not that type of coach to go out there and want to be the dude to be talked about. He doesn't want that. He wants his players to be the people in the spotlight. Dan Lanning he always says stuff in his press conference. Love him. Think he's an amazing coach, awesome coach, going to have a lot of success. I wouldn't mind seeing him be the coach of the Buckeyes if Ryan Day wasn't here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love the dude, but it's Ohio State. Like, I don't understand how, like, that's like much of a discussion. It's Ohio State until proven otherwise.
Right. Absolutely.
You know, I don't get it. Why are you debating this?
I mean, it's just ridiculous. I think a lot of people want to rage bait for clickbaits, but let's you want to dive into what you saw from the Oregon game and we talk about that, or you want to talk about something else first?
No, we can do that. I watched a little bit of the Oregon spring game, and just based off that, you can't base much of it, but I think they might be a little bit better than they were this year. I think that we'll just see. I think it's going to come down to that. What kind of culture can Dan, the same conversation I had last year, bringing in all these big time players, all these safeties and cornerbacks and receivers. Dante Moore looked good to me anyway. So they got some really good running backs as well. Of course, they went in the transfer portal. They are just absolutely stacked, locked, and loaded with talent yet again. I think it's going to come down to, I think they got a little bit better receivers, a little bit better corners this year than they did last year. And I think they got a better quarterback. So that's, again, dude, I watched the freaking spring game. So everybody.
Yeah. For me, I think they're going to be better. They definitely improved in secondary. And by the way, talking about their secondary, I don't think any of their secondary players even got drafted. Jabbar Muhammad was predicted to be a top 2 round draft pick last year, leaving Washington. He transfers over to Oregon. He doesn't get drafted in 7th rounds. That's ridiculous. Like, and that's who you want to, Naeem, that's who you want to trust. But Naeem looked good in the game. I'm gonna be honest. Their secondary looked good. Their quarterbacks, I think Austin Novosad to me was the best looking quarterback, but Dante Moore still looked good. Either one, it looks pretty good. Their wide receivers are a lot better than last year. Their running backs are a lot better. My question with them is their D-line, their O-line, and their linebackers. I think they still have question marks there, and you won't be able to tell until the regular season kicks off. But everywhere else, I think they've improved. And Will Stein is actually pushing the ball down the field. And when I talk about spring games, because it's a spring game, if you have the same coaching staff and they have the same setup on how they're going to run their spring game from year over year, then I compare it to the previous year's spring game, and they look like a much better team than they did last year. So they're going to be a team we're going to have to contend with and deal with year in and year out. I think they're going to be our biggest thorn in the side out of every team in the Big Ten, including the team up north. Like Oregon's just going to be a bigger challenge from here on out. We're going to have to deal with them.
The one other thing that I gleaned from there was I think Trey McNutt's going to be an absolute dog.
Yeah, he really is. And I'm kind of – and you know what? There's one thing that PO'd me while I was watching. They were talking about Achilles Smith, and they're like, yeah, his dad is a legacy. He graduated from Oregon, and then I'm watching Trey McNutt make all these plays, and I'm like, and we got a kid from Ohio, and they're talking about Trey McNutt, and I'm like, man, you little sellout, bro. But whatever. Now, and then I started because I'm in a lot of Miami chats and stuff on social media, and they're calling BI and Bryson and JJ sellouts, and I'm like, oh, that's how they feel because all their players come here. Like, whatever. You can have Trey McNutt because we got Bradford coming and more than likely Braylon Womack coming. So, hey, I'll take those two for you for that one.
Yeah. Dude, the last thing I want to talk about, I'm looking this up. Who's that wide receiver that Penn State just got in the transfer portal?
The kid from Syracuse.
From Syracuse.
His name. Yeah.
Hold on. Traber Penna. Had like 904 yards, 941 yards and 9 touchdowns last year. In the ACC. ACC on a team that threw the ball 50 times a game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just see a bunch of posts that there it is. That's the missing piece. Penn State winning a national title this year. That's what they needed. And I'm like, wow, that's a lot. That's a lot to put on one wide receiver's back who was at Syracuse in the ACC, 941 yards. Yeah, did really good. How many times did they throw the ball? How many times did he have the opportunity? That's all they did. So with a quarterback that could get him the ball as well, Kyle McCord did well there. So, but it's James Franklin, bro.
It's not just – so I had this conversation with somebody. It's not just James Franklin at this point. I just don't trust Drew Aller. I don't trust his decision.
Well, yeah.
To be honest with you. I'm not saying he's not talented. He's talented. He's going to play in the NFL. He's probably going to play for many years in the NFL. But to be the lead dog, his decision-making just is like it leaves a lot to be desired. And if you're going to have one wide receiver, say he's elite. Let's say he's like just a level below JJ, right? But you don't have any other thing besides your run game. You're just going to put a safety over the top or double him. He's out of the game. Then how you're going to win? You have to have multiple facets and multiple ways of winning on offense and scoring points. You can't just rely on your defense the entire game because they're going to get worn out. And when you play high-power offenses like Ohio State or Oregon, you're going to have to put up points, period. Your defense is not shutting those two teams down.
Yeah, no, everybody's talking about Penn State because obviously they're trying this thing that this bring all your players back. They're trying to mimic what Ohio State did, bringing Drew Aller back and a lot of their other players. And everybody's talking about how the coaching upgrades they made this year and all the experience they're bringing back and whatnot. And, yeah, they're going to be I think they're going to be a good team. But I'm just not sold, man. I think you're going to run into the same issues that you've always ran into these past couple years with Drew Aller.
Yeah.
And they always seem to blame it on he has no weapons, no wide receivers and all this, but there's only one common denominator in this whole thing. And it's James Franklin and Drew Aller. Those are your common denominators here. And until I see otherwise, I'm not buying it. I mean, I would be more worried about Texas this year than I am Penn State.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
You see Texas. You got some teams this year, dude, that are literally trying to buy a natty, and Texas is right there. I mean, dude, they are going ham, bro.
To them, but this is my thing. If they don't win a natty with all this money, How does their fan base react? I think they've been down so bad that they might give Sark leeway, but the old Texas Sark will be on his way out if he doesn't win after doing all this. But I don't know if they're going to do that because they were down for so long before Sark got there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think so. You know, he took him to the Final Four, but good question. You know, speaking of Texas, dude, watching Quinn Ewers go in the 7th round was like, what?
Whoa, I forgot all about that. That's shocking.
The world is going on right now.
What's going on is he should have stayed at Ohio State.
Yeah,
honestly, in my opinion, he's been whoever's his inner circle, he needs to change it or he needs to stop listening because first they had him leave high school early, come to Ohio State because they wanted the $1 million money. He sat at Ohio State, left. If he only came for the money, then he probably wasn't like taking everything in that he should have because he's a young kid. He's like, I'm about to leave anyway. Goes to Texas, doesn't really develop there. He's a good player. Obviously, his floor was very high, so they had success, and Texas can recruit as a nice place. Then they want him to come back. They're offering him crazy money to come back for another year, and he decides to stay. Well, he stayed instead of leaving. He should have probably left the year before he would have got drafted higher.
Way higher.
Yeah. Then he's like, they want to give him NIL money, insane amount, like $5 million a year to come back to college. And he says, no, I just want to leave. And they got him to leave. And now you're a 7th round draft pick fighting for a roster spot. You might be on the practice squad.
I heard from a source that doesn't miss much that a certain team offered Quinn Ewers $10 million to come be their quarterback this year. And he told it, and that would be the team up north. And he told them no. So I want the dudes to succeed, obviously, but dude, that's just same.
I'm glad he told him no. You know why he told him no? Because it's still the team up north for him.
Yeah. I am, but you know, you look at it. If they offered him that, he had a lot of teams offering him a lot of money.
Right.
It just goes to show you how crazy it is. We're gonna start seeing him, dude. You know. Everybody's talking about Ohio State's draft class next year. What's it going to be? Caleb Downs, Iggy, and Sonny Styles. That's it. I mean, they're going to and Ethan on the no, like everywhere. I just feel like they're gonna. My point is, Ohio State's going to do everything in their power to keep all draft eligible players next year. If they don't have to go to the draft, Ohio State's going to pay them to keep them around.
Yeah, I don't think there's projections with Caleb Downs being the overall number 1 pick in the draft next year.
Well, that's why I just said Caleb Downs gone. You know what I mean? Caleb Downs, you don't need to. You can't offer that.
Right.
You can't offer that type of money. But what I'm saying is, like a lot of these people that we think are going to the draft next year, I would hold our horses on thinking they're actually going to go because you just saw what happened in the draft this year. It is very true that most players can make more money by staying in college another year than by going to the draft. That's a fact. That just got proven. I mean, over and over again. Quinn Ewers, the base salary is $890,000 through 3 years on your contract with a $100,000 signing bonus.
Yeah.
He made that in 1 week in college, you know? So, I mean, that's just, you know.
I hope he was stacking his money up and saving.
You know, players like Carnell Tate, I mean, dude, I have a feeling like next year Ohio State's going to approach him with a deal that is like, dang, son, you know, maybe. But you never know. That's a long way away. I just wanted to mention that and talk about that for a little bit.
I want to hit on a couple of these little comments. So Craig wants to know USC GM wanting blood, anything on them. So I think they're going to improve, honestly, obviously, because of the NIL, and they're actually turning around their defense, but that takes time. We already know that it takes time. It takes a couple of years to do that. And their DC is not even as elite as Jim Knowles, but he's good. So I think they're on the right trajectory to turn it around. I think they're going to definitely be better than they were last year, but I still think they'll fall short of making the playoff.
Yeah, I don't know much about them other than we heard this last year. Everybody, you know, the first game of the season, USC won, and everybody was predicting them to do all these big bad things, and it didn't happen, man. So until I see it, Lincoln Riley and whatever he's got going on. I don't know.
Shout out to Aaron. Mello, where's the safety from Miami going in the transfer portal? I'm pretty sure you're talking about Zaquan Patterson. Nobody knows yet. He hasn't said anything. So we'll see. I know they wanted another safety just for the room, but I don't know if we're going to actually pursue him that hard because he's going to want to play. He's going to want starter minutes. And then, how does that upset the room with Malik Hartford and the rest of our safeties in there? Jalen McClain, So
I like our safeties in our secondary. I don't think we need any help there at all. But I do know Ohio State's not going to – if somebody wants to come here and Ryan Day thinks they'll add value to a room, he's taking them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mello, that's about all I got. Unless you got – I'm going to go look for Cujo, see if I can't catch
That's all I got too, brother.
Yeah, man. Well, yeah, we appreciate you guys. We got a pretty loaded schedule this week, interviewing a lot of recruits and some Buckeye players as well. So stay tuned for that. I know Tuesday or Wednesday at 2:30 is a little bit odd time. Some of you guys might be at work. Just check out afterwards, man. You saw our TJ and Pettijohn interview. Got pretty crazy. Got fun, man. So there's the type of interviews we like doing. Hopefully we got a little fun with Jarquez and Ziggy Grady as well. Get to understand how they're liking the Buckeyes and get a firsthand, experience of what it's like to be a Buckeye player, what we're going through. This isn't third, fourth, fifth hand information. We're about to hear from the players directly, which is what I love. So Mello, any final thoughts?
No, check out the interview is going to be a banger. This week is going to be all fire. Oh, and we got trivia. I forgot about trivia. It's been so long, bro.
I know.
I was out in Cali. You were out on the island.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, here's a good one. All right, here we go. Trivia question. See if we can get this one. You ready, Mello?
Yep.
In which season was Jack Tatum named the National Defensive Player of the Year and unanimous All-American?
Jersey boy right there. Stilly's going to get this one.
No, he didn't.
Woo!
Close. Russ was just as close. Taco, very close.
That's a nugget I'm going to start at for after this.
Matt got it.
Okay, Matt. Big Matt.
Oh, no, he didn't. He guessed twice, man. Nope, we got to ask again. Dang.
Oh, Aunt Chris got it.
Did she?
Yeah.
We're giving it to Aunt Chris. She got it right. That's her first one. She on the board.
Yeah, Aunt Chris.
All right, that's a point for Aunt Chris. She's on the board. That's the only one we're doing for tonight.
You gotta make that a bonus question for Aunt Chris.
I know. Aunt Chris might just come with me just because I buy her a ticket for free anyway. I ain't gotta.
Okay.
If Aunt Chris wants to come, she can come. You know what I mean? She ain't got to win a ticket to come. Chris, you heard that? You want to come to the Washington game with me this year? All you got to do is tell me. We're there. You don't got to pay for nothing.
It's
I got
gonna be fire. That's one you guys definitely want to go. Try to study up on your Buckeye history. Yeah,
I think she's done enough for me in life to where I could probably buy her a ticket. Yeah,
probably.
She has. But all right, we appreciate y'all. Back to normal business coming out. We're going to be pressing out a lot more content, diving back into this thing, getting closer to the season. Cannot wait for football season to start. Do us a favor, man. Spread the word. Tell some people about the Buckeye Boys, dude. Trying to grow this thing. The more this channel grows, the more you guys will benefit from us. What we get out of this channel goes back into this channel, back into y'all. But we appreciate you guys. We love you guys. Go Buckeyes. OH.
I'm about to go check that out.